Inside the world's harshest prison, Black Dolphin Prison, Russia, the place where life sentences truly mean life, the prison that was never meant to reform anyone. Black Dolphin Prison does not exist to correct behavior. It does not exist to rehabilitate. It does not exist to prepare anyone for release. It exists for one purpose only: permanent containment. Located near the border of Kazakhstan in Russia's Orenburg region, Black Dolphin Prison is officially known as Penal Colony No. 6. But that name is rarely used outside official paperwork. Inside Russia's penal system, and among those who study the world's harshest prisons, it is known by a name that reflects its true function: Black Dolphin. This prison holds individuals sentenced to life imprisonment, a sentence that in Russia carries a meaning far more final than in many other countries. There is no realistic parole. No expectation of release. No countdown to freedom. For those sent here, society has already made its final decision. Why Black Dolphin Prison exists? To understand Black Dolphin Prison, you must first understand how Russia defines punishment. In Russia, life imprisonment is not treated as a long sentence. It is treated as civil death. The sentence is reserved for individuals convicted of the most extreme crimes, mass killings, repeated violent offenses, acts deemed permanently incompatible with public safety. The philosophy behind the sentence is simple: some people are never meant to return to society. Once that determination is made, the prison system shifts focus. The goal is no longer change. The goal becomes absolute control. Black Dolphin Prison was built to enforce that philosophy without compromise. A prison designed to eliminate resistance. Black Dolphin Prison does not rely on intimidation through violence. It relies on total submission through routine. Every aspect of daily life inside the prison is designed to remove autonomy. Movement, posture, communication, even how an inmate holds their head, everything is regulated. When inmates are moved through corridors, they are handcuffed behind their backs, bent forward at the waist, held by guards on both sides. This posture is enforced not as punishment, but as standard procedure. It removes balance, limits vision, and prevents sudden movement. There are no exceptions. Over time, the body learns compliance before the mind even reacts. Silence as a rule, not a suggestion. One of the most striking features of Black Dolphin Prison is silence. Not silence as a side effect, but silence as policy. Inmates are forbidden from speaking without permission. Conversations between prisoners are nearly impossible. Communication is reduced to commands, responses, and compliance. There are no shouting cell blocks. No arguments echoing through corridors. No noise that suggests life unfolding. This silence is intentional. Noise creates unpredictability. Silence creates order. Life inside a Black Dolphin cell. Cells inside Black Dolphin Prison are small, stark, and deliberately uncomfortable. Beds are bolted to the wall and folded up during the day, forcing inmates to remain standing or seated on a fixed stool. This prevents rest outside designated hours and reinforces the passage of time through authority rather than personal choice. Cells are monitored constantly. Lighting is controlled. Windows allow light, but no view. Privacy does not exist. Every movement is observed. Every routine is repeated exactly the same way, every day, for decades. The power of routine brutality in Black Dolphin Prison does not come from chaos. It comes from perfect predictability. Wake-up time never changes. Meals arrive the same way, at the same time. Inspections occur without warning, but always follow the same rules. This routine strips life of spontaneity. Over time, the future collapses into repetition. There is nothing to anticipate. Nothing to work toward. Nothing to hope for. Time does not move forward. It circles. Why there are no riots at Black Dolphin? Black Dolphin Prison has never experienced a large-scale riot. Not because inmates are peaceful. Not because conditions are humane. But because resistance is structurally impossible. Inmates are isolated. Communication is restricted. Movement is controlled down to seconds. There is no opportunity to organize. No chance to build momentum. No space where collective action can form. Violence is eliminated not through force, but through design. The psychological weight of life sentences. Life imprisonment inside Black Dolphin Prison means exactly what it says. There is no realistic release date. No parole hearing to prepare for. No countdown to freedom. For inmates, this knowledge changes everything. Hope becomes dangerous. Expectation becomes pain. Time becomes something to endure rather than live through. Many adapt by withdrawing emotionally. Others fixate on routine. Some lose the ability to imagine a future at all. This is not accidental damage. It is the consequence of a system built for permanence. Discipline without physical violence. Black Dolphin Prison rarely uses overt physical punishment. It doesn't need to. Discipline is enforced through restriction of movement, loss of minimal privileges, increased isolation, procedural penalties. Punishment is administrative, not dramatic. There are no public beatings. No spectacles of force. Instead, control is absolute and constant. Guards as enforcers of the system. Correctional officers at Black Dolphin Prison are trained to operate without emotion. Interaction is minimal. Language is procedural. Personal engagement is discouraged. This is not cruelty. It is policy. Emotional distance protects guards from manipulation and reduces unpredictability. Over time, the environment shapes staff as much as inmates. Silence becomes normal. Distance becomes instinct. The prison trains everyone inside it. The meaning of the name Black Dolphin. The prison takes its nickname from a black dolphin statue located within the facility grounds. For the outside world, it is a symbol. For inmates, it represents finality. Once someone enters Black Dolphin Prison, they understand something immediately: this is not a place you leave. Why Black Dolphin is considered the harshest prison in the world. Many prisons around the world are violent. Many are overcrowded. Many are chaotic. Black Dolphin Prison is different. It is controlled to the point of erasure. No chaos. No disorder. No visible violence. Only routine, silence, and time. Where other prisons break bodies, Black Dolphin breaks identity. The cost of total control. The question raised by Black Dolphin Prison is not whether it works. From a security standpoint, it does. The question is what kind of damage is acceptable in the name of safety. Because the harm inside Black Dolphin does not scream. It accumulates. The defining difference between Black Dolphin Prison and most prisons on Earth is not violence. It is finality. At Black Dolphin Prison, the sentence is not measured in years. It is measured in absence, absence of freedom, absence of choice, absence of a future outside the walls. Life imprisonment in Russia is not designed to change behavior. It is designed to remove people from society permanently. And Black Dolphin Prison exists to enforce that decision with absolute precision. This is not a prison where people wait for release. It is a prison where people wait for time itself to end. The meaning of life. In a Russian life sentence in many countries, life imprisonment still carries an implied possibility: parole hearings, sentence reviews, or humanitarian release in old age. In Russia, life imprisonment means something far more literal. For those sent to Black Dolphin Prison, parole is extremely rare. Sentence reduction is almost unheard of. Release is not a realistic expectation from the first day inside. Inmates understand this truth. There is no countdown. No date to circle. No milestone to survive toward. The future is not uncertain. It is decided. Isolation that never ends. Black Dolphin Prison does not rely on mass solitary confinement in the way some supermax prisons do. Instead, it enforces a system of controlled isolation so complete that collective identity never forms. Cells are shared by only a small number of inmates, or sometimes single occupants, but communication is restricted so tightly that meaningful interaction is nearly impossible. There is no social world inside Black Dolphin. There is only routine. Inmates do not walk freely. They do not gather. They do not linger. Every movement is supervised. Every posture is enforced. Every deviation is corrected immediately. Isolation here is not a punishment for misbehavior. It is the baseline condition of existence. The psychological reality of permanent containment. When people speak about the harshness of Black Dolphin Prison, they often focus on physical restraint and silence. But the true damage unfolds internally. Human psychology depends on three things: choice, change, social connection. Black Dolphin Prison systematically removes all three. Choice disappears because every action is dictated. Change disappears because routine never evolves. Social connection disappears because communication is minimal and controlled. Without these elements, the mind adapts, but at a cost. Some inmates become emotionally flat. Others fixate on small rituals. Some retreat inward entirely. This is not breakdown in the dramatic sense. It is erosion. Why hope is considered dangerous in many prisons: hope is encouraged, hope for release, for reform, for reintegration. In Black Dolphin Prison, hope can become a liability. Hope implies expectation. Expectation implies disappointment. Disappointment can lead to instability. The system does not encourage hope because it does not intend to fulfill it. Instead, the prison promotes acceptance of permanence. Inmates who stop expecting change are easier to manage. Those who stop imagining a future are less likely to resist. This is not accidental psychology. It is institutional design. Control over the body, control over the mind. At Black Dolphin Prison, control begins with the body. The enforced posture during movement, bent forward, restrained, guided by guards, serves a practical security purpose. But it also reinforces submission on a subconscious level. Over time, the body learns compliance before thought intervenes. This physical discipline translates into psychological discipline. Movement becomes permission. Speech becomes risk. Stillness becomes safety. Eventually, resistance does not disappear because it is punished. It disappears because it is no longer imagined. No violence. And why that matters. Like ADX Florence in the United States, Black Dolphin Prison is often cited as evidence that extreme control works. There are no riots. No gang wars. No large-scale assaults. From an administrative perspective, the prison is a success. But this absence of visible violence hides a deeper reality. Violence has not vanished. It has been internalized. Internalized harm. When physical confrontation becomes impossible, harm turns inward. This does not always take the form of dramatic self-harm. More often, it appears as emotional withdrawal, loss of motivation, cognitive dulling, inability to imagine change. These effects rarely make headlines. They are slow. They are quiet. They are difficult to measure. But they are real. And in a prison where sentences never end, they compound over decades. Guards inside a prison of permanence. Correctional officers at Black Dolphin Prison operate under a different psychological framework than those in most prisons. They are not managing rehabilitation. They are not preparing inmates for release. They are enforcing permanence. Interaction is minimal by policy. Emotion is discouraged by training. Distance is professional necessity. This protects officers from manipulation and burnout, but it also reshapes how they relate to people. The prison's philosophy does not stop at the cell door. It affects everyone inside. Comparison to other harsh prisons. Black Dolphin Prison is often compared to other extreme facilities, such as supermax prisons in the United States. But there is a crucial difference. Supermax prisons like ADX Florence still operate within a system that publicly acknowledges the possibility, however remote, of progression or release. Black Dolphin Prison does not. Its harshness does not come from tighter security alone. It comes from finality without apology. Where other prisons isolate behavior, Black Dolphin isolates existence. Why rehabilitation was abandoned. Rehabilitation requires belief in change. Black Dolphin Prison is built on the belief that change is no longer relevant. The individuals held there are considered permanently incompatible with society. From the system's perspective, rehabilitation would be performative rather than practical. This belief simplifies management. It removes moral ambiguity. It removes long-term planning. It removes the burden of hope. But it also raises a profound ethical question. The ethical line Black Dolphin crosses. At what point does punishment stop being about justice and become about erasure? Black Dolphin Prison exists beyond that line. It does not aim to punish past actions alone. It aims to prevent future existence within society entirely. This is incarceration as containment, not correction. Whether that is justified depends on perspective. But its consequences are undeniable. What the world rarely sees. Black Dolphin Prison is remote. It is closed to media. It is shielded from public scrutiny. There are no documentaries filmed inside. No interviews with inmates. No transparency initiatives. What the world knows comes from official statements, limited reports, and rare disclosures. Silence protects the institution. Why Black Dolphin is often called the harshest prison on earth. Many prisons are brutal because they are chaotic. Black Dolphin Prison is brutal because it is perfectly ordered. No disorder. No unpredictability. No resistance. Only time. Where other prisons punish behavior, Black Dolphin punishes existence. That is why it is often described as the harshest prison in the world. The cost of absolute security. From a security standpoint, Black Dolphin Prison succeeds. There are no escapes. There are no uprisings. There is no influence leaking beyond the walls. But security is not free. It is purchased with identity, autonomy, and human connection. Whether that price is acceptable is a question that extends far beyond one prison in Russia. What Black Dolphin represents globally. Black Dolphin Prison is not an anomaly. It represents a philosophy that appears wherever systems decide that some people are beyond change. When rehabilitation is abandoned, control becomes absolute. And when control becomes absolute, humanity becomes optional. This is not unique to Russia. Black Dolphin is simply the clearest expression of this idea. The end of the line for those inside Black Dolphin Prison. There is no second act. No redemption arc. No transformation narrative. No return to society. The sentence is not just life. It is forever under control. Final reflection. Black Dolphin Prison does not scream. It does not riot. It does not burn. It does not collapse. It functions. And that is what makes it terrifying. Because brutality that explodes demands attention. But brutality that operates silently, permanently, and efficiently can last for generations. Black Dolphin Prison is not the harshest prison in the world because it is violent. It is the harshest prison in the world because it is final.